Hold on to me.
Burmeister. I work for Homesteaders Life Company, and we are live this week in Boston, Massachusetts for the National Funeral Directors Association's annual convention. We are starting a new tradition this year. We are co-sponsoring the NFDA Social Media Lounge. Homesteaders and Disrupt Media are sponsoring it together, and we wanted to add even more value to the attendees at this year's convention. So we're hosting some panel discussions on some best practices related to social media. So today we're going to be talking about video and how you can leverage video on your Facebook page to boost engagement. So before we get started, I want you to introduce you to our panelists. So if you guys want to kind of just pass this down the row.
I'm Ryan Thogmartin, CEO of Disrupt Media. I'm just normal.
I'm Amy Silva-Rigtrup, a fifth-generation funeral director in Massachusetts, south of Boston, and I love chatter.
I'm Dean Lambert, and I'm the marketing officer at Homesteaders, and I'm wicked cool. Back to you.
All right, let's start with an easy one. Why is video on Facebook so important?
I can go. Video on Facebook is massively important because of the algorithms of Facebook. They give priority to video in the newsfeed, and video is 75% more engaging than any other type of content a brand can create. So just from the analytic value of it, it's extremely, extremely important. But also because of the transparency and how organic and real video is. And we can consume video whether there's sound involved or not. Most people watch video on Facebook with sound off. So it allows you to create another level of content that can ingrain with the user.
I can speak as a person on Facebook that it was different 8 years ago. Like, I would seek out the text posts and actually want to know what my friends are saying, and they used to stand out to me. And I think, like he said, with the algorithm is what changed, and now what stands out to my eye and that actually gets my attention is video. And I think it's happening beyond anything we can control, so we got to be all about it.
I think video is important because people relate to people. They don't relate so much to pictures and faces. It used to be that just faces of pictures of puppies and people used to make people click. Anymore today, if you see motion and you see somebody saying something and you want to hear what they're saying, you just have to think of how you use Facebook. You're going to click on that video every time, and the statistics don't lie. So it's really, really important.
Ryan, you mentioned that a lot of video on Facebook is viewed with the sound off. Do you or any of our other panelists have any suggestions for best practices for those silent movies?
Yes. Make content that can be watched with the sound off, and if there is talking or volume that needs to be translated, that you add captions so users can actually read what is happening while they watch the video. And captions are very easy to add to video.
And if it sounds complicated, then Disrupt will help you do that. Because I don't know how to do any. I can't even caption my videos for myself, so I understand what my kids are saying. So Disrupt is an awesome help with that.
I think it's really important because people are looking at Facebook in all sorts of situations. Offices, bathrooms, just speaking for myself. And you can't always have the sound on because people will think you're weird, especially when you tell people you watch Facebook in the bathroom. But, you know, you learn a lot doing that kind of stuff. But the point is that you can't always have the audio on. And so if you have captions and you have stylized video or just, you know, caption video that Facebook lets you do, then people can consume the entire bit of content, not just the video, but also understand what people are saying. And no matter where they are or what they're doing, you're going to get your message across. So that's why captioning is so important.
So we all agree, video very important on Facebook. And there are different kinds of video. So right now we are shooting a live video. We're using Facebook Live. Do any of you want to speak to what that is and how that works on a Facebook page?
Go to the expert.
I can. So Facebook allows you to go live, meaning that in real time you can stream whatever it is that you want to record. The reason live video is so important, one, is because it's super engaging. There are comments, and you can view who's watching, so you can interact and have engagement back and forth with the audience. But also, I'll get technical, the algorithms, when Facebook gives priority to video in the newsfeed, they give even more priority to Facebook Live video in the newsfeed. And Live will also send out notifications to followers that you are going live, to try to get more users to watch live. The other value is when you're done with a Facebook Live video, it lives as on-demand content on the Facebook page, so it just doesn't go away. So you now have a video that is left there as well that can be embedded other places.
For me, Facebook Live is really important, not because I come from the broadcasting side of things. Back in the day in broadcasting, you weren't able to get immediate feedback. And face it, Facebook is all about getting third-party endorsements. It's about getting credibility. And so when you're looking at Facebook Live and you're seeing people thumb up, thumb down, do the heart emoji, you're getting right away immediate feedback to see what people like, what they don't like. And in terms of algorithms, I mean, you could just watch the words that you use when people are responding. You could put that thumb up to a certain word or a concept, the heart to a certain word or concept, or even a thumb down to the certain word or concept. So you're getting immediate feedback. And face it, Facebook's all about helping to improve your brand. It's all about the third party, the people that are actually saying, I get what you're saying, I agree with you, or I don't agree with you. So it really just augments your Facebook presence more than just regular static content because of the immediacy, and people are reacting emotionally. So it's even engaging people on a more visceral basis. So Facebook Live is very, very important. But once you start, it's kind of like, doing a YouTube channel and stopping. You're live, you're broadcasting, and that's the other thing. It's once you stop doing live content, you can lose engagement because people are used to seeing that, and they like to see it. So if you're following anybody who's doing live content, think about yourself. When they stop for a while, they don't do live content, you tend to tune out and maybe be less interested in what they have to say. So if you start, you better be ready to keep it going.
If it's okay, can I share what I went through with you guys not too long ago? I was close to Pi Day, and I had never played with Facebook Live, like in my life, personally, business, anything. I was on the radio for years, and I was fine with that kind of live, but I'm not, like, on camera, So we were nervous, and they had a great idea at DISRUPTu for Pi Day, have like a campaign, which funeral director do you want to see get a pie in the face? And we were raising money from that for the Boys and Girls Club across the street, which we're so close with. So we got tons of engagement. People were voting with emojis, and I felt like the dynamic was getting heated behind the scenes. Like we were all kind of not happy about wanting to get a pie in the face. So I figured I needed to invest myself in not getting pied. I had the idea, put it aside. I'm just going to go live, and I'm going to anti-campaign for people not to vote for me. And I did like 3, I think, live videos. I did 2 like suggesting why you should pie the other guy. And then I did a 3rd one in imitation of my Portuguese grandmother, pleading for people not to pie me. And we got tons of engagement. It was like within minutes. It was insane. And it made me not fear live as much. And it made, I think, the community feel like they were even more a part of it. And we went live for the pieing as well. And we weren't as nervous.
Yeah. Did you get
I did not.
Wow.
But I get to put it on the face.
Good.
I think one of the reasons that was so successful, and what I was going to say about live, is it's transparent and real. Like, that was very transparent. It showed your personality, the type of person that you are. It's not content that a consumer would expect from a funeral home, which, is why Facebook is so valuable, is because it's very, very relational, and it's very, very transparent, and it's real. There's no way to be fake through Facebook because we can strip out BS very easily. And consumers want relationships, and this was a profession that's built on relationships, and taking those relationships and turning them into meaningful memories and serving a family that you care deeply about. So relationship and transparency of Facebook Live and just marketing in general on Facebook is huge.
I want to say that I believe it makes us more approachable too. Like, I feel like we're being serious. We share like really great articles for people that need some help with grief, with education and professionalism. But I think sharing the stuff that is about us as humans makes us approachable. So people are not just thinking about us as they're a good funeral home, they have nice caskets. Like, I know that I can sit down and talk with Amy about something hard for an hour. And I think all of the stuff that we're doing is helping make us approachable.
Yeah, and along with that approachability comes the fact that a guy I know you know, Grant Cardone from the Cardone Zone. One of the things I tell funeral professionals all the time is that people buy from you not because what you do is better or because you are better, maybe a little bit, but they buy from you because they know you better. They know what you offer better. And I certainly would be the proud owner of a funeral home if somebody walked in and said, I need to do a prearrangement, but first I want to put a pie in your face, as opposed to, I want to do a prearrangement, but I want the cheapest thing you have, or the guy down the street told me that they do it for this, so you have to do it for this. So it's a lot harder to do that kind of a negotiation when you really feel like you have a relationship with somebody. You said you were on radio, right?
Yeah.
So I was on radio for a long time. How many times did people come up to you when they saw you and they felt they came right up to you like they knew you? Yes. It was pretty scary, right? But the fact is that they know you because they're listening to you in their bedroom going to sleep at night or in their car, and they're very private moments that, and that's what they're listening to. They hear your voice, you're picking the soundtrack of their life. So if they know you're doing a remote broadcast and they come up and say, come right up like they know you. And today, that's what Facebook Live does. So it definitely is very, very valuable. And if you want to cut down the price shopping, I know it happens, but, they're going to be a lot less apt to come up to you and want to talk to you about price if they know you better. And so, again, that's another great reason to be doing Facebook in general, but Facebook Live specifically.
That is really, really great answers from all of you. Knowing the funeral profession the way that all of us do, I can anticipate that there's probably going to be some discomfort. They're very protective of their brand. They want to make sure they have control over their messaging. What would you say to a funeral home owner or a funeral director at a funeral home who is concerned about the live aspect of Facebook Live?
Live can be scary. I'll say out of the majority of our clients, maybe 5% are open to doing live video. Once you do it, though, like you said, it just feels normal. It doesn't feel like it's live, and it doesn't feel like, if you screw up, it's going to be a big deal, because no one expects it to be a production. No one expects that a Facebook Live is going to be streamed perfect high-def quality, or there's not going to be background noise. The majority of people that tune in live want to see something out of the norm and not produce. So
they're hoping.
They want you to screw up, but no, it's again transparency and realness and just the ability to humanize yourself. It absolutely is scary, even for somebody that I would be on live all the time. Not worried about it, but the first couple of times it is scary, but once you do it, you are going to be far more critical of yourself than anybody else is going to be, and no one is expecting it to be a perfect production.
And I think it's like jumping in the pool as opposed to like sticking a toe in, and slowly torturing yourself. The more you're in your head about anything, you're going to get in your own way. And it might not be bad to come out of the box, like you said, for that vulnerability and the humanizing. And I think that's where our industry is going. I think society, decades ago, needed us to be stone cold comfort. That was what comforted society. They knew everything was going to be taken care of, and they were going to be the strong guidance through the funeral. Now, we are not that anymore. Now, my motto is to never in my life have someone look at me and say, oh my God, you're a funeral director. Like, I'm done. I'm done. I've done pre-needs at coffee shops. I've come to people's houses. I did one in a bar. I did not drink, but I found the vulnerability in the person that was calling me, kind of like a live video. I get those pre-need calls where you can tell they're freaked out to even set up this pre-arrangement. So I ask them, where are you comfortable? You don't feel right coming into a funeral home? I'll meet you wherever you need to be. So it helped them jump in the pool instead of just putting their toes in. And I think we need to take risks as funeral directors as much as we want our clients to take risks opening up to us.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say is it's funny to me. I'm not a funeral director. I've worked with funeral homes in marketing for 25 years. And it's funny how some funeral professionals pick and choose what they are comfortable doing and not comfortable doing. You know, webcasting of funerals has been around a long, long time. Many funeral directors do very high-profile funerals that the news covers. So it's not like you haven't done live shows before, so to speak, right? So the only difference is that, you know, somebody's saying action or 3, 2, 1, and you got to be on. But, you know, if you're confident in what your content is and what you're talking about, if you're okay with the fact that you may misspeak or stutter a little bit or whatever, it's no big deal. Like Ryan said, it's not going to be perfect, but you're already doing things live. You're standing in front of families. You're at the moments where they're most vulnerable. You're greeting them at the door and you know, taking them to where they need to be and talking to them to provide comfort. So you're live all the time. And I know it's different when somebody's sticking a camera or a mic in front of your face, but, you know, the first time you did a funeral or, you know, your first time, you know, that was scary. And the more you do it, the better you get. So all I can say is jump in and realize that you've been live your whole career. That's all, you know.
Really good point.
Yeah, you see families at their very worst, so it's okay for you to be human too, I think. That's a great message. So we've kind of touched on the live aspect of it, but I know a lot of funeral home owners want to know about actual produced video. When they prepare it in advance and they're posting it to their page, does that need to be professionally produced?
I've been going back and forth myself on this because I have plans to implement in the next month or two on short videos, and I've been wondering if it should be live or if I should get like something fancy and make it look good. But what you just said about how doing live, you're already giving the premonition before you start that this is real, this is organic, don't expect perfection. I'm wondering if I should stick with that and not try to make something look so fancy that I'm already getting in front of myself saying, expect perfection, this is going to be so profound and amazing. And then I like blank and stare and turn white. So maybe, you know, maybe it would be better to get ahead of yourself in a better way.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a combination of things. I think that a variety of content on Facebook and a variety of media on Facebook is really appropriate. So you can be known for doing great live things. You know, we have a client that works with Ryan down in Lumberton, Texas, who went to a popcorn store in his community on National Popcorn Day and did live Facebook. But he also is taking advantage of some of Ryan's animated video production. So when you're thinking about produced video, it doesn't always have to be a live talent, you know, a person. It could be still photos that have the old Ken Burns, you know, dissolve in and dissolve out effect with copy over it. You've all seen it. You know, you watch the tasty videos from BuzzFeed that show cooking and they show it live sped up with words over it. But you can also have beautiful photos of things, do a little quick slideshow for 30 seconds with copy, and that's produced content. So for me, I think that what your people will eventually expect from you on Facebook is a variety of content, produced, live, you know, just plain posts and things like that. And when you mix it up, the cool thing about it is Ryan's mentioned analytics over and over and over. You can track what gets clicked more, what is more shared. You can track what gets a better response and what people like. And I think you should play with it. I think you should put as many different types of media out there as possible. And then whatever tests well is what you do more of. Not that you'd stop doing anything else, because it could be just that the message maybe wasn't as compelling. But I would say do it all. Do it all.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. It needs to be a mixture. But when we do map and run the analytics on what performs best, video that's real and transparent, that is just pick up the phone, I have a thought, record it, produce it, or it performs better than any produced content with a mic and lights. I mean, out of any content you do on Facebook, when it comes to video, the audio, so having a mic is probably the number one thing. No one cares about lighting. No one cares about, you know, all the other things that can go into production. they got to be able to hear you if they're going to watch the video, or if you're captioning it, it's got to be able to map to the words of your mouth moving as well. But yeah, it's a mixture. I mean, we do internally, we do some live, we do just grab a smartphone and shoot a video when we have a thought. And then there's other things that are more strategically planned out that we try to turn into a show. So a mixture of content, but track the analytics, and you're going to see that when you have a random thought and you throw the smartphone up, or if it's something relevant and timely and you get a high-def video, every smartphone records high-def. It doesn't have to be live. If you want to do 3 or 4 takes, go for it. But, you know, unproduced content that's just real will always outperform a production.
I know the question that we get a lot from our funeral home customers is about the types of content that you're posting. And I think that applies to video too. So we've talked about kind of the medium, live, professionally produced, or just kind of generally produced in your firm, but kind of in advance. In terms of what kinds of video content perform the best on Facebook, what has your experience told you?
Okay, I'll hit on this real quick, and then Amy, I think you can talk real time, like what's working. There's 2 types of content that can go on Facebook, organic and generic. Generic are things that are kind of bucketed, that are not specific to your funeral home or your business. They are things that could be used on any funeral home Facebook page anywhere in the country, because it's just content that a consumer would engage with around a funeral home. Then there's organic, that is very specific to your firm and showcases you and your staff and what you're doing differently. So when you do a Facebook Live, that's organic content. Organic content will outperform any type of generated content, hands down, 100% of the time. When there's a real human being that somebody knows and has facial recognition and, you know, can have an immediate connection when they see that content, we call it thumb stopping. So you're scrolling through your thumbs and it makes you stop. You know, that is key. So organic content that is real and transparent kind of seems to be a theme that we're talking about.
Yeah, I totally agree with what happens on Facebook and what I experienced through the radio, because that was kind of jumping in a pool. I thought that I would be getting like hate mail. Why are you on the air talking about death? But it worked out well, and I realized that people want to know the interesting things about our industry, you know, in little bits and chunks, and it leads to other trains of thought. So I'm excited about content that I think is going to work, is kind of thinking in the did you know kind of zone. Like, hey, you know, did you know that we have a kids room downstairs? And you know why? Because most kids in this age group handle death better than anybody else. But they're smart enough to know, why am I going to stay in this wake room? Like, why am I going to stay here where people are crying? Like, I'm going to go and chill and, like, do my thing, have a snack, play with some toys, and nobody's going to be embarrassed that I'm around them. And little videos like that kind of change it and take it somewhere to show that you're not just highlighting and marketing yourself, but you're opening minds to why these things are in place. That's the kind of video that I think will be good. And those are thoughts that run through your head at work. So like you said, just grab it and speak.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what's really important is that when you're on Facebook, not only are you giving a glimpse of yourself in a very unrehearsed and real way, but I think it's also important to make sure that you understand that people really, they don't consume funerals as often as they go to the grocery store or buy cars or whatever, even houses. And so anytime that they feel like you can give them something of value, educational, learning a little bit more about your organization and the people who work for your organization, the good works that you're doing, from supporting philanthropies or Habitat for Humanity or whatever it is, breast cancer awareness, as the theme is here today at the NFDA. Those are all important things. A funeral home and funeral professionals are very, very giving individuals by nature. And so if you can use Facebook as a channel to give to the community education and talk to them about things that could make them a little less sensitized to things, but also could help them through some very difficult times if they've gone to a funeral for a friend and they're feeling a little bit, down. And, you can do something on Facebook that said, that talks about the effects of funerals on people, whether it was their family or they were there just to support a friend. And that's the value of Facebook. And I think great content is not only showing yourself, but it's also making sure that you're giving something to that person that is engaged with your page, so they feel like they're getting value from you, even when they're not in your funeral home.
Okay, I'm going to ask the flip side. Is there any content that you would absolutely say don't put a video about that on your Facebook page?
No, if you're comfortable with it, put it out. I mean, let the audience be the judge. I think there's too many times in this profession we think things are undignified to where we hold ourselves in this very high regard. The consumer doesn't care how we think of ourselves. Like, it is absolutely, they need to be the judge, and they'll tell you what they think is too far. But what a consumer will engage with and expect. A quick example, we had Lumberton, Texas, or Lumberton Family Funeral Home in Lumberton, Texas. They did a Facebook Live at a health and wellness spa, and the young lady from the funeral home got a laser hair removal treatment done on her mustache on Facebook Live. Most funeral directors, when we show that, have the reaction of, that is completely undignified. We would never do that. That's crazy. The consumer loved it. It reached 23,000 people organically, and the comments were all positive. So, it just showed the realness of the funeral home, the personality, the transparency. The consumer values that. So I'm going to say no. Like, I think you can go as far as you want. I would say maybe don't take a camera in the prep room, but other than that, like, I don't think that there's really anything that should be off limits. Let the consumer be the judge.
Yeah. Speaking from the old marketing PR guy, I will say one thing, and that is you probably don't want to volunteer political commentary about what's happening. That would be really, I think that's the unintended consequence of even joking around about things that are happening. I mean, Al Michaels got caught comparing a football team to something that's happening in Hollywood these days, and they saw their Twitter feed blow up, and he had to go on the air and address that. So I think, the name of Ryan's company is Disrupt Media, and I think it's okay to be disruptive. I think it's okay to be even a bit controversial, but not in a way that where that there's polarizing sort of views towards things. So I would say that saying things about your funeral home, showing a day in the life, putting the fun in funerals is okay. I would just say be very, very careful about, and make sure not to turn anything that might be happening in the media into a funny comedy gag and stuff like that. You're not Saturday Night Live. There are probably funny people in your funeral home, funny things that happen, funny situations, but I would definitely be very, very careful about the current event kind of stuff, unless it has to do with bringing home the remains of a World War II veteran that have been identified. I mean, that's great current event stuff. Even let's say there would be an article going viral, something that might have happened bad in funeral service. That's not political, and you certainly can say, hey, some of you might have seen this viral story about something that's happened in a funeral home in blah, blah, blah state. We thought we'd take a moment to tell the community, what exactly happened and why that's not going to happen in our community on our watch. Those are things that you can also comment on. But I definitely stay away from politically heated current events, as that's a rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
Yes. Good point. I just try to stay away from anything that's salesy. I never want to sound salesy. Like, I'm a funeral director. People know what I'm selling. I want them to be interested in what we do, what we provide, in what they might think about death themselves. Like, if I can spark a thought that somebody didn't have before, and that leads to an awkward conversation that they've been not wanting to have, which might lead to a prearrangement, or it might lead to a really meaningful memory that's going to bring people together and make a meaningful service when it happens, then that's in the right way. And I think the more you're transparent and educational, you're just going to be like in the back of people's minds. Like, oh, if I have a thought about funerals or death, I'm going to ask Amy. Like, I love when I get messages at like 2 a.m. like, hey, weird question. I just had to ask, can you be buried in fishnets? Like, stuff like that. Like, that makes me feel like I'm doing my job. You felt comfortable asking me if you can be buried in fishnets.
What did you say to the fella?
I said, absolutely. That was good. You can tell you were on radio. You are getting political. Oh, my goodness. It's just getting that open conversation, and the more you have conversation, you're going to be who they think about.
Yeah, we do a lot of proprietary research at homesteaders, and one of the metrics that we always return to is that 7 out of 10 consumers who prearranged only thought of one funeral home. They only considered one funeral home before they made their arrangements. So if you're in a competitive marketplace, or even one that there's just one other funeral home, it's so important that you're top of mind. And I think what this conversation we're having here and Facebook and social media in general is a really good way to ensure that. So that's great, and I appreciate all of your feedback. We do have one more question, but I know we have some people watching in the lounge. Do any of you have any questions for the panel? No? Good? Awesome. All right. All right. So, yes, go ahead and post it on your comments. So the last question we have related to video is, what is the easiest way to get started with it? So whichever one of you wants to tackle that question first.
I think these two will probably be, because there's a guy that can tell you, and there's a person who can tell you how they did it.
Well, that's
so.
part of the interview. We're going to
Yeah.
make you do a video right now.
All right.
How'd you get started? I mean,
I played with my own videos, like, until I felt comfortable watching it without wanting to gag. Then I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, where are worst critics, like you said? And even with the radio, it took like 6 episodes before I could listen back and hear my own voice. It's just strange.
Get over that.
It's
You gotta
just,
love
it's
the sound
like,
of your own voice. Come on.
right?
I know
It's
I do.
flipping your perspective around. You know what I mean? And I love that you brought up how we're so finicky and scared about this, but we have no problem leading a procession through a busy, crazy area. And like, I am a 5'0" little lady, and I will hop out of my car and make a Mack truck turn around with all the confidence in the world. But we're afraid to like make ourselves live for a couple of minutes. And just sitting in church, like, we don't even think about half of the things that we do. We have 300 people looking at us. If we sit by accident at the wrong time, the whole place is sitting. And we're not scared of that.
Right.
So maybe it's just kind of flipping your perspective a little bit and play with your own videos on your phone. Talk for 10 minutes, and if you're not feeling sick, then move forward. Try it again.
Right. No, I'm going to give it to Ryan. We also may have some questions popping up in the feed, so I don't know if you can see any there.
I think you just have to do it. You just have to turn the camera on and record. The very first video I ever put out in this profession was a Saturday afternoon in my basement. Had a thought, turned on a webcam and a backwards hat and a T-shirt, and let it go. So I think you just have to do it. I think Amy's great advice of have somebody in the funeral home record you. Try something for a minute, 2 minutes. Answer a question that gets asked repetitively, and if you're comfortable with it, put it out. And it's again, you're not going to hold, consumers are not going to hold you to a standard that, you know, higher than what you hold yourself. So it's you know, once you get feedback, it'll ease your mind about doing it again. But I think, you know, you just got to cannonball in.
I was in a conference actually in Boston a couple of years ago, and a speaker was talking about live video and pulling the Band-Aid off, and she had everyone in the audience turn on their cell phones and post a live video to their own Facebook feed during her session. And what she had said was that, you know, you'll never be as bad as your first one, and you're going to constantly learn from the experience. So I think you guys are absolutely right. Just getting started is half the battle. So thank you all for participating today. It's great to hear from you guys. We are going to be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock with another panel. Tomorrow's panel is on creating content for Facebook. So if you have questions that you want us to answer, leave them in the comments on this thread, and we'll make sure that we incorporate them into tomorrow's panel. And absolutely make sure that you chime back in at 4 o'clock tomorrow. It's Tuesday, to hear more from our expert panelists. So thank you for watching. Thank you all for participating.